This is a quick video on checking the camshaft valve to tappet clearance on either an MZR 2.0 liter or 3.5 liter head. In this particular case, the head is removed from the engine and is sitting in the cradle. There are actually new upgraded 1.5 cams that are installed. So part of the cam installation is to check the clearance between the cam lobe and the tappet. And just for reference, the tappet underneath each of the lobes is such. There are different tappet clearances for both the intake side and the exhaust side. It is also very important that the orientation of the cam shafts are such that they put the lobe and the tappet in the correct position for measuring the clearance with your feeler gauge. In the workshop manual, they designate those positions as A and B. Currently, both the exhaust and the intake are in the A position, which is essentially number one cylinder at top dead center. You can recognize that by the number one cylinder intake lobe pointing inward at about a 45-degree angle, and the same on the exhaust. So this is position A. In this position, the intake camshaft clearances can be measured on cylinder number 1 and cylinder number 2. On the exhaust side, you're in the correct position for cylinder number 1 and cylinder number 3. It's very important that you get the orientation correct when doing your clearance check. So very quickly, on the exhaust side, the minimum clearance in millimeters is 0.27, and the maximum is 0.33 millimeters. I have a feeler gauge that is 0.305, which is just about in the middle, and it's very simple. From the center of the block for the designated camshafts, just stick your feeler gauge in there. I have a nice fit, and so I would record my clearance as 0.305 in this particular case. I've already gone through this, and I know that if I go to the next increment of the feeler gauge, it will not pass through there, and that is less than the maximum. Of course, I also want to make sure that my minimum clearance is there also. So once you have completed taking position A readings on both the exhaust side and the intake side, you then need to rotate the crank shaft in the clockwise direction 180 degrees. The same for the exhaust, 180 degrees. If the head was on the block with the chain connected, you would do the same thing by rotating the crank shaft down here 360 degrees. Remember that the camshafts turn at 1/2 the rotation of the crank shaft. So now you are in position B, so we can now measure the remaining cylinders. Again, same procedure. Always go from the center into the designated lobe and record your clearances.